All right, here we go. Let's watch Loopy. Late night gaming action going up against Titanic. We do have a Titanic matchup here. We got Han 1 green going into Kira Data Vault. It's funny. This matchup is somewhat of a classic. Like, this has existed all the way back in set 2, realistically. And I'm not sure who has the advantage at this point in time, because despite it having a long history, a lot of things have changed. A lot of cards have changed. The strategies are, I guess, generally the same if you boil it down to, the most elemental components. That would be, I'm going to ramp and make powerful plays. I'm playing later game control. However, we do see a fast Falcon to lead off. Wait, are we doing... That is a fast Falcon, right? Yes. Okay. Seemed to be a little bit of confusion as to what was happening there, but we do have a fast Falcon. It's funny. Recently, it seems as though no one is on Kira. Now, the word on the street is that Wu is playing Kira in this particular event. Shocking. Probably 0 people across the globe. And Loopy is on Kira, which I don't know if this is really a Loopy standard, but either way, we're getting a Chewie onto this Falcon. Should be more damage there, right? If that was a fast Falcon, you took 3 on turn 1, and then you take 6 on turn 2. Oh no, that's a clown car. Oh, they fixed it to 9. Never mind. Some of the promos I'm not as familiar with, so, and this being, I guess that was one of the Galactic promos. So we got a Galactic Falcon, Loopy eating their own super laser tech as is necessary in this particular scenario. You're going to need to, you might have to deploy here just to get the damage there. The problem is that this does open up Kira to potential retaliation. It's really, like, what does Han do to remove the Kira? Because the goal being you need to barrage that Falcon out of the sky. We got to resupply. That will allow for the Han to deploy and therefore punch the Kira. So this is a decent counterplay. So if I'm Loopy, you got to advance another body or you're just going to straight up die to that Falcon. Did you pass? Because if you pass, yeah, I mean, you can definitely do that as Han. I mean, I don't... Are you going to entrench the Kira? Like, was that the plan? I'm not sure exactly how you deal with the Han. But we're going into Resource 6 for both players now, thanks to the ramp on both sides. Initiative here, we're going to get the Han Pilot Ambush. Man, max rarity .DAC. We got the Hyperfoil Bamboozle is the lowest rarity on the board. I guess maybe the Hyperspace Data Vault would technically be. So it would be Hyperspace Data Vault, Bamboozle, then we got Worlds promos and showcases, and Titanic kind of showing off the bling in the deck. Run into who we have to. Was the Falcon tax paid? Doesn't look like it mattered. There's additional resources floating around, but that... I was not paying attention to the Falcon tax on the other turns. Whenever I see a Falcon like that or any of these things, I always try and ask my opponent just to keep the board state clear as possible. So if that is a fast Falcon, and it has to be, there's no way it was a clown car. Should be -1 resource there, because we haven't been... Well, you could have paid with the ramped resource on this turn, and then that would have left everything clean. I don't think there was a ramped resource on the other turns, although I may have missed it. Either way, Han getting in, we get a ramp. 23-0, still 2 threats on the board, and Loopy on the ropes. One of my locals was talking about, like, hey, do I play Kira now? Because Wu is bringing it back. And, I mean, this doesn't look great. So, I'm not a huge fan of the U-Wing here. I would rather have played any other singular threat. Force the Super Laser Blast next turn, and then U-Wing. Like, okay, we're U-Winging into Kelleran, which means that the Kelleran's going to yoink another body, which is fine. But if they don't have the Super Laser Blast here, this is all win more. If they do have the Super Laser Blast, depending on your hand, that might be all the gas you have. Now, this did find another Fast Falcon, so it all might be a moot point because that can bounce to hand. You'll be able to present 2 threats following a Super Laser Blast, assuming it's even there. And looking at Loopy's hand, I'm not seeing something immediately jumping out that looks like Super Laser Blast. You have to forgive me. I've been watching these games literally all day, and my throat is killing me. Solo casting this. A little rough. A little rough. A little rough. Chewie on the Falcon. We saw that earlier in the game, and yeah, that's... Ooh, we lost stream there for a moment. Yeah, that's going to yield a concession. Yeah, Luby's on Kira. I was just mentioning you, saying that you were looking to go back to Kira, and it did not look good. That was not close. It was turn 1 Fast Falcon, turn 2 Chewie. Take 1,000,000. I'm not sure exactly what Loopy did when he deployed the Kira. And admittedly, the Han 1 lines were very strong here. Like I said, it was Fast Falcon into Chewie, and then we had a resupply so that you could match the early deploy on the Kira, which then caused the Kira to, I think, pass, and then that allowed you, the Han player, to take initiative back, and like nothing there really was going to go well. So, didn't look great. Well, we'll have to see how this plays out. Loopy is a very strong player. Definitely not out of it. So we're going to line up. Got a few sideboard cards that would appear coming in. Obviously, as mentioned before, this is not an unknown quantity. Nobody's going to sit down from Han 1 Green and go, oh, I've never seen that before, unless you just started playing this week. In which case, you've probably still seen it before. I don't know. You can run in trenches. You can, of course, bring in upgrade hate. You can condemn, which realistically I think it should be main. We were talking about this earlier in a different matchup, and we had some people pop in that were saying, oh, well, I'm going to sideboard condemn. And we did see sideboarded condemns in the Wat Tam board deck. Now that, I think, has kind of an excuse to be a little weird. It's a Wat Tam board deck. However, I think condemn has to be a full play set in the main if you're Kira or any other blue villain, because it just deals with so many things. You could play it on Han. You could play it on the Chewie. You could play it on the whatever. It doesn't matter. And even if you play it on a 7 attack guy, like, who cares? It still turns him off. You know, like, oh, you played Kelleran back? All right, now he's a 1 attack guy. I just can't imagine not running a full play set of those. So it just turned out that Loopy was unable to find the particular answers to Fast Falcon with Chewie, but that is kind of the danger with these sort of decks. It's been the case since 1993 when Magic started. Threats are better than answers. Shout out to the Late Night Gaming custom sleeves there. I think they're trying to figure out who has initiative. It's the only thing I could think, unless they were waiting on the stream to figure it out. I mean, Loopy put the hand back, so I assumed he was mulliganing. That was such a weird exchange. I don't know what just happened. Also, is Loopy like triple sleeved? I've met Loopy. He's not a small guy. Like, why is that deck like 4,000 cards? I know it's only 60, but like that just, a man is playing with top loaders. I don't understand why that is like crazy. Is this like having an enormous truck? All right, we got a Walker, I think Condemn Power, and I'd be guessing at the rest because I can't see them. I'm guessing at the Power. Yeah, it feels rough, but I think Rowan the Walker is probably accurate. Got a Lahan action. That looks like another Fast Falcon. No, that's a Clown Car. That is the Clown Car. Not dealing 3 damage immediately, but representing significantly more. It's really going to come down to whether there is a Power of the Dark Side that I thought I saw in hand. If there is, you murder that thing right meow. That is, in fact, a Power of the Dark Side, pulling the Falcon out of the sky. Now we got an Obi-Wan on the ground. Excuse me. We got the super laser tech, so we will have the ramp, a little bit of pressure onto Kira, but this is going to be a quick ramp. Yeah, you're not going to screw around. I mean, there's a world where it gets waylaid or something, but if that was going to happen, I think they would have done that action 1 in order to prevent the ramp. This is actually a very fast deploy, but this is presumably to murder tech. You just do not want to allow that guy to live. Surprise strike in hand. Yeah, you got to be killing tech. Oh, we're killing Obi. I guess, like, the tech plays are just extremely unlikely. So making this a 7 attack Kira is fine. But, like, I don't know. I just don't care about Obi-Wan. If they play a Keller and Beck this turn after 80 actions and give him Sentinel, all right, you got me. I'll wait until next turn to attack. I mean, ultimately, this is probably what would have happened regardless. If you attack the tech, then the Obi-Wan's absolutely going to clear Kira because there's no reason to not. I guess this opens up the line that maybe Titanic just doesn't like values the tech more, and then you get a big barrage, or you get a 7 attack with Kira, or both, whatever. Get a little R2 action. Been seeing a lot more R2 thanks to Padme, but we're getting R2 here. We're just playing it, not discarding. So this is really just 2 dirtle actions. So we're getting the Han deploy into the gun. Still 6 open resources for Loopy. If you had the Condemn, it would have been played. We have a Death Trooper. Huh. I guess this is just to get 2 damage onto Han. That does allow for a Vader to kill it this turn. I was going to ask, like, why pass here? You could have just run the Death Trooper out. This hypothetically allows a Death Trooper to stay on the board or at least put 3 damage into R2, and then you can Vader the Han. And there is the Dark Lord of the Sith commanding the First Legion. I don't even remember what the subtitle of the card is. It's funny because I really wanted to play Boba Green in set 1. And I didn't have the card, so I ended up playing Boba Yellow, which I enjoyed more. But the main reason was because getting Vader was impossible. So I haven't really actually played that many Vader decks. But either way, Vader coming in, presumably going to crash the Han. It does, in fact, crush him. Pike Sentinel coming out to protect the board. Completely exhausted resource-wise, so no shields for the Pike Sentinel. And we did see a Han unit destroyed from Titanic earlier. So are we going to get another 7? You probably wouldn't have resourced that one unless you had another 7. And the question is, what one are you going to play? Enfys is fine here, but it's going to be U-Wing. So what are we digging for? A Han here would be pretty good. It's going to be an Enfys, which is going to bounce. This will allow the R2 to eat the Death Trooper, assuming the Death Trooper doesn't run into Enfys. Which if it does, then Titanic should just claim. Honestly, there's a world where Titanic claims no matter what Loopy does. Unless Loopy claims, because then you can immediately sink the R2 into the Vader. But yeah, I think claiming here is appropriate. You end up losing the Vader no matter what. So I guess it's, it was going to happen anyway. Keeping with max rarity, although I don't know if the weekly play promos count as max rarity for the R2, but we do have a Judge Enfys Nest, which is pretty sick. Ow. Knee hurts. I was doing great in SWU until I took an arrow to the knee. It's an older meme, but it checks out. Keller and Beck. We're at the point in the game where as long as Han can continue to find threats, they should be fine. However, Loopy only has 15 damage on base, so there's plenty of time to stabilize, especially when these threats aren't immediately going face. That looks like Captain Typho? Can't tell. Round timer's covering up, but I'm assuming it's Captain Typho based on the bottom of the rib cage to hips. It's nice to see Tim actually playing. He plays almost every event. I think he's played every event that they've... I don't know if he did at the sector, only because the requirement for it. So we're sinking some damage into Typho, getting the reveal there. Which may not have been necessary. We disclosed the Typho, but I don't think you had to because there was no damage on base. It's not Mina. Mina draws, Typho heals, so... All right, we're tapping $1 billion. Home 1, Enfys. So it bounces back to hand, which means you can replay the Sentinel. But it does remove the shield, giving you a window to actually crack it and remove it from the board instead of having to trade Typho in and then attack it again. It's not quite a village, people. What have we got? That's a Snoke. In fact, a dead Typho, and you can't quite kill that with Han in one shot thanks to the deep power, and Kelleran is no longer large enough. But it is large enough to push 5 to base. Only 2 resources. I have a feeling that Titanic has a gun. We get the claim from Loopy. I think there was a brief moment there where Loopy considered shielding Snoke. However, the Saboteur from Enfys does make that a little dicey. Yes, you get the power down, so it would survive, still with 1 health, but a gun would then lead to a dead Snoke, unlocking Kelleran. It would be a 2-for-1 trade. It's an important resource, losing the gun like that. But with a Walker in hand, I think Loopy just wants to continue to make it to new untap phases to continue playing big things. 1. That's 7. Vader. Vader actually large enough to not just kill, but survive either of these threats right now. And Loopy may have stabilized. I mean, you're at 20. 13 is a pretty healthy buffer when you're not worried about, like, oh, I'm going to take 1,000,000 damage on board. You're removing one of these threats already, even if they have a gun. You have to get Enfys Nest off board? Yes and no. A surprise strike would make... Actually, no, you have to have more attack. So you need a gun and a surprise strike in order to make Enfys large enough to bounce the Snoke right now. It's definitely, well, maybe not definitely, but it is arguably more of a threat than the Kelleran. Either way, Vader's going to eat the Enfys Nest. Snoke's still available. We have Imperial Dark Trooper, one of the new additions to the deck. Looks like we do, in fact, have a gun. So that's 7 damage to base, 27. With only 6 life to their name, Loopy's going to have to either trade in here or find another way to remove it. You could just shield the Snoke and use that to kill the Kelleran. Or we can just play a Sentinel. Fast Falcon's not going to do it. Only 1 attack. Even with a surprise strike in hand, that's still only 4 damage. Gives Loopy another turn. And that's all you're trying to do, Skira, right now. Get one more turn. One more turn. You're about to turn the corner. There is a Walker in hand that will help stabilize. I thought that's what was going to come down this turn. Maybe use the Snoke to help clear things. But the answer from Titanic is U-Wing. A number of different options here, but I think you probably want to try and dodge to space if you can help it. Because the ground is locked up. At least for the most part. I'm telling you, Chad, every time I take my sweatshirt off, I start to feel cold, but while it's on, I'm getting sleepy because it's so warm. It's the, if you can't tell behind me, it's the Galactics hoodie. Not because that hoodie is particularly warm, but just because it is warm. Also because I'm fat. I gotta lose weight. Take a nap, little guy. Yeah, we'll just doze off right now. Could have dozed off during that Ray game. In fact, it appears Titanic agrees. We're going to get a Fast Falcon and a Clown Car. We'll be able to push 1 damage this turn, put you at 28. And then we represent 1, 2, 3, 4 damage from the Clown Car next turn if you have a Han pilot. Looks like Snoke with shield is going to clear the Kelleran. should not have the shield, right? Like, the shield should be gone now. Because he 100% shielded it so it wouldn't die. That looks like a Han pilot. I'm telling you, these max rarity things are throwing me for a loop. No pun intended. 32! That looked like a Devastator in hand. That's 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. What gets you in this scenario? Because you kill the Falcon. You have to kill the fast Falcon. Because if Titanic has a, like a waylay, you just die. I don't think there's any other way for Titanic to push down. You just Devastator here. Kill the fast Falcon, yep. I will say Devastator, one of the few hyperspaces that I actually think looks pretty sick. I just like the way, like, whatever planet or sun or whatever's in the background there, it looks pretty dope. That is a blue leader, looking like it's going to ambush that Pike Sentinel. Does present another threat, but I mean, at this point, despite being at 32, that does clear the way on the ground. I don't think there's any ground play ready guys that are likely to show up. Like, unless suddenly Guerrilla Soldiers is in here and Loopy forgets that he can assign indirect damage to things other than base. Yeah, there was no shield on that Snoke, so I think they're just changing who the attack was. As we were saying before. So, at this point, I don't see how Titanic gets out of this. Yeah, basically no board. You can't take an action, deal with the Devastator, because, you know, like, what are you going to do? Bounce it? Then they just replay it. You don't have any come into play ready guys. You don't have any board to speak of. And that's 21, 24 damage being represented. 27 if you count the attack, like if Loopy attacks with the Dark Trooper this turn. This did not feel inevitable. This kind of felt like, yeah, the Snoke had an attack, so this is actually lethal now. I have no idea how Titanic can get through this. I don't think he can. But 26 minutes on the clock, there's no risk, or there shouldn't be a risk of them going to time, so I think this is completely reasonable to at least look at your next draw step. Think about what you want to do. Breaking in, yeah, the off aspect breaking in. Actually, it wouldn't be off aspect. Somebody was mentioning off aspect breaking in earlier. For a different matchup, I forget what it was. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say breaking in is not in this deck. Now, maybe, so we've seen a number of commandeers in sideboards, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that the Han deck is running commandeer out of the board, and maybe Titanic is digging for that commandeer, because that would be hilarious. Commandeer Devastator for the W? If he's slow rolling this commandeer, Titanic, are you slow rolling this commandeer? You can't, no, you can't be doing that, can you? Okay, it's a Keller and Beck. I still don't know what gets you out of this that you could get with a Keller and Beck. Okay, this might buy a turn. Okay, okay. We don't have lethal now. Loopy now has to not die. See, this is why you don't just scoop it up. You do look for that extra draw step. Like, there's plenty of time. It's not like you have to rush into game 3 to try and get your win. You can just take your time. There's still 24 minutes. This matchup has not taken 1,000 years. Both players are playing quickly. Now, action to Loopy. Like, you need to find a way to deal with threats in all arenas. Both arenas. So, Devastator clearly runs over the Falcon, right? Like, you don't even have to necessarily run over the Falcon. You could just punch face and it's a Sentinel. We're going to put 5 on there because Snoke is no longer present. That's a Vigilance. That will not kill that. What is happening? That doesn't kill it. Vigilance is 3 or less, right? That doesn't work. Awkward. Unless there's something I'm missing, that Imperial Dark Trooper should have only done 3 damage. So that Keller and Beck should still be on the board. What is happening right now? We're resetting something. They might be thinking Snoke is still out. That is a second Vigilance? Wait, what? Oh my god. Double Vigi? Wow. Double hardcast Vigilance. The problem is one of those didn't work. Oh no. Is chat going ballistic? I'm afraid to look. So they are pointing if he hit Han with the Trooper and Keller and with Vader, it still works. Yes, that's what I was about to say. Like, is it incorrect? Yes. Is it going to materially change the outcome of the game? No, because clearly Titanic would have claimed anyway, you're going to sack your board and play the Vigilances and probably double Vigilance anyway, just to heal down to 22. And now all of a sudden we can... Is the judge trying to correct this now? I think Loopy's explaining the same thing, that you could have sank the bodies in differently and end up with the same result. Yeah, I'm not anticipating an issue. I just hope that people don't get up in arms and we get 85 Reddit threads. Oh my God, where were the judges and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yes, that was an illegal play. No, this one, like, there are other things to get up in arms over. They're going to figure it out. And here's what's going to happen. They're going to debate this for the next 4 minutes. They're going to rewind and they're going to go, oh, it's the same thing over again. Oh, it'll definitely be a warning and move on. They're not going to like DQ somebody over this. Both players missed it. And I highly, 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 highly doubt that either player had any warnings prior to this point. Like, that would be extremely unlikely to begin with. So I'm not concerned at all. Both these guys are good guys. I'm not worried about that. It was just like a legitimate mistake. And the reality is, as we've now said 10 times, and I'm just repeating it because I'm filling silence for the recording and so that people watching this later don't get worked up. If you had attacked the Kelleran with Vader, you can Vigi that guy, and then you attack Han with the Dark Trooper, and you can Vigi that guy, and it's fine. Yeah, that much is obvious. So the biggest thing that will come out of this is they will need a time extension, and they're going to need a time extension of like 4 minutes. So what I imagine they're doing right now is they're going to go back to the stream VOD Yeah, they're 100% discussing this because Titanic just picked up Vigilance. It happens. These are complex games. If these guys played yesterday into today, like if they were live today and then bubbled out, that means that they are now on, let's see, they started at 8 a.m. They're on hour 10 and a half of playing SWU, potentially with only like a 35-minute break in between, depending on like how late that one round went, like the last round for pool number one. So as somebody who's just sitting on my ass talking about the games, this is a difficult, like people make errors. And we know Loopy isn't getting breaks with Kira. True. Big true. You know what's funny is like, you can get breaks with these decks. Like it is possible. Like you're not necessarily going to be going up against it every round. But as somebody who was not playing a blue deck, but my opponent dragged it out, and I was like ready to piss my own pants because I had to hit the bathroom so bad. Yeah. Just go 2-0 and you get 3 minutes. Yeah, it's that easy. Like just 2-0 just win all your games. I don't understand why people think card games are so hard. Just win all your games. If you just win all your games, you just wouldn't have these problems. I don't understand. It's like, seriously, just stop complaining. Just win. If you just won your games, none of this would be an issue. Stop being a wiener. Dude, what is happening? Are we really like rewinding the like? I wish somebody could like get a screenshot of the board state right as this happened. I know we know the answer, and it's easier for us because we're armchair quarterbacking this. We're not playing the game. We're not judging the game, which is also more difficult. But they are trying to reconstruct the game state now. They're probably going back to the stream VOD to get exactly what it is. But here's the thing. They're going to reconstruct this, and the second that they do, they're going to go, oh, we could just do this. The only thing that could screw this up, is if they force Loopy to attack the Kelleran with the Dark Trooper. Because then the Kelleran will live or the Han will live through this entire exchange. One of those will survive if they force him to take that action. Because technically, it is a legal game action to take. However, now that we've done all of this, like I said, we're going to find out momentarily that none of this matters. It is good procedurally that they caught it. Somebody was asking that earlier in one of the Discord chats, because there was some other minor error that happened. Oh my God, Loopy, please tell me you're not going to like attack base or something. Are you still attacking the Kelleran? What? What? No! 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 You hate to see it! Oh, okay. Hold on. Oh, please. All right. They're probably making him attack the Kelleran. They might have made him attack the Kelleran. That might be the reason for this. They might have said, look, you announced a legal game action. Then there was a game action taken by your opponent, which would have been the claim. And then you took another game action that turned out to be illegal. So we need to rewind to the board state. But what they should have done, if they were forcing him to do it, was rewind to post Dark Trooper attack. They should not have rewound to the Dark Trooper gets to attack again, because that was a legal game action at the time. And if he had like a takedown or something, it would have been fine. This is worse than doing the double vigilance line that we all thought he was going to take. But Loopy still alive on 32. Here we go. We're going to bounce a trooper. We got an Emphas Nest. Notably, Emphas Nest can take 3 and not die to vigilance. Let's not do this again. Still a lot of resources, so I anticipate a second threat coming out of Titanic here. Honestly, that misplay might cost Loopy the game. Because, like, imagine if there's still a Maul in hand right now, and you're at 22. The game is over. He's at 23? Who, Titanic? Yeah, sure. I guess you're saying for the next play, which this should secure it then. 8th brother come down. We get the vigilance. We're on turn infinite. 3 to base. 29. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he could have had, I don't know if he's running waylays or spare the targets or something. Like, he could have had something like that. But even if he did, you bounce the Devastator, they first action claim, pop the guy you played, you'd be cooked anyway. So, GG. Loopy taking it down to 13 minutes. I assume they will get a time extension. All that rewinding. Here's the thing. Yes, in retrospect, it seems like, why did we even bother? Loopy was clearly going to win if he healed down to 22 damage. But, yeah, he was also at 32, so, like, you just want to be sure. All right, both players kind of rushing here. I don't think they need to. I'm more concerned about getting my time back in life. That never comes back. You never get that back. That is gone and spent. How many hours of my life I've lost to fruitless, meaningless endeavors? Almost every hour of my life. Almost every hour of my life. We are dust, and to dust we shall return. All right, so we get the quick mulligan from Titanic. We get a keep from Loopy. I don't know how snap keep it was. Couldn't tell. Honest question. Yeah, it's usually fine. It's usually fine. I always check in. All right, what do we get? We do see a resupply in Titanic's hand. That's a tech. That's a resupply. Can't tell the rest of the cards because they're promo and foil. If I ever play with a showcase, I'm going to play it naked. Completely unsleeved. But the only way I'm playing with a showcase is if it's like a worthless showcase. Like if Holdo is a thing, or if Rose is a thing, or LOF Grand Inquisitor, or something like that, where it's like it's a $20 card. I would love to play cards again without sleeves. I miss playing without sleeves. Rio Durant. Yeah, exactly. Like here's a crisp $20 bill. Give me that showcase. I'll play it. Because if it's worth more than that, I'm not keeping the showcase. Well, Austin's not here either. You could give him a hard time about it. All right, so we got a clown car. Problem with the clown car is if you try and pilot this, you're asking to lose the game on the spot. I will say, this is how it often feels like in control games, where playing against control, you'll crush them game one. Then you lose an extremely long, drawn-out game two. And then your hand is like doo-doo in game three, and you just get bodied. It's a feels bad man moment. But we are once again having to deal with the whole Kira flip situation. The resupply and the super laser tech means that we're going to get deploys from both leaders on the same turn. But Loopy does have to wait. Ooh, resupply to 6. Loopy's got to wait for the deploy from Han. You can't even trade the Kira here. Like, trade the Han for the Kira? Well, I guess you will, because Kira's going to run right in. Never mind. What am I saying? But we're going to go to 7 resources. You're not going to claim, are you? What? I guess if you deploy Kira... See, I would not have attacked with the Pike Sentinel. Also, there should be damage on Han, right? Because he punched the Sentinel. That is a leet, I think. I would have, if I'm Loopy, I would have deployed and then just killed the Han. Because then you can deal with the 1-for-1 follow-up 7 drop if they have it. Or you could have deployed if Titanic doesn't want to trade, you start the turn with the Kira, meaning you can barrage. Now, because of the extra action, there might be... Yeah, they're figuring out the damage from the Pike Sentinel. Now, you're going to need a Cad Bane or something to try and set up some kills here. Like this is a lot of stuff to deal with. Yes, you can deploy and barrage, but it's... Let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we do have a Cad Bane. You can't kill the Han. You can kill one of the Falcons. Or lead, but I assume it's going to be a Falcon. How annoyed he gets when people exhaust their units in the wrong direction. Which direction is the wrong direction? Just opposite directions? Or... like they're exhausting it left? Turning it left instead of right. I mean, that is a legal way to exhaust. It's just required, at least as far as I know, every other game I played, it's just required to be 90 degrees. What annoys me is when people only do it like 45 degrees. Or like, I've played other games where you're supposed to turn it 90 degrees and people will turn them upside down. And I'm like, no, that's not a thing. Like, what are we doing? That one doesn't bother me. There's lots of things that bother me, but that one doesn't bother me. So we got a Typho that's damaged. We got rid of a Falcon. Pushing some damage to base. Cad Bane lives. But we're going into Resource 8 for Kira. There's a lot of different options here, not the least of which is Super Laser Blast. And the question is, can Titanic do something meaningful with only 2 cards in hand? Take that off the list. Yeah. Got to check with Tommy for the rest of the list. He was keeping track of every time I said something bothered me. I don't even remember what they are. Like, you'd have to be in the moment. Super Laser Blast. And that's a lot of dead stuff. A lot of dead hero stuff. A U-Wing here would be sick, pointing at cards. It's just the way people were pointing at the cards. Oh, yeah, and spacing out the resources. That also drove me crazy. It's going to have to update the hard drive, keep the list. It's true. So the answer is tech. And that was it. That's not where you want to be, because now Avengers live, Power of the Dark Side's live. There's a lot of ways that tech goes bye-bye. Make sure to touch the cards. It doesn't really bother me when people touch the cards, because I have had people like apologize where like they'll pick up a card to read and they go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to grab that." And it's like, I get it. Other people will get upset about that because it's like, please don't touch my stuff without like, can I see that, or ask for it. But it doesn't really bother me. It's like, if you don't know what the card is, just read the card. I mean, it would be nice for people to ask, but I don't care. Instead of fully tapping your card, just turn them like 12 degrees. Yeah. What bothers me is when people make the game more cumbersome. That's ultimately what it boils down to, where it's like, if you only tap your card 12 degrees, 10 degrees or something, it's like, it's very unclear as to whether, okay, is that just tilted or is that exhausted? And most of the time you can usually tell. But if I then have to sit there and clarify every single card every single time, that's going to annoy me, because now we're just elongating the game for literally no purpose. Unrelated to the current discussion, I don't love Titanic's position. That being said, it kind of exploded out of nowhere. I think it was around 15 damage last game where we're like, man, it doesn't look good for Titanic, and then all of a sudden shot up to 32 and almost closed it out. Either space all your resources out separately or have them in a chaotic pile. The worst is when they'll have it spaced out, but then they tap it and then pick it up and put it in a singular pile. So it's like, why are we doing this? He's able to stick a Kelleran with a Typho at that point, I think. Yes, exactly. So we have a U-Wing, which could lead to a Kelleran Typho. We don't know what Loopy has in hand. I mean, we do, but I forgot because we're yammering about other things. There we go. Wait, so we Eager Escort, Walker, didn't catch the rest. Enfys Nest. Judge promo does look pretty dope. I just like the frame. I've come to accept that I like frames on cards, generally speaking, more than I like borderless cards. Walker heal. We're going to mill yet another Dark Trooper. Is the 2 damage really worth it? Imagine Loopy claims into Barrage here. Now, admittedly, I was calling Titanic dead in the last game and then had some busted U-Wings to nearly close it out, but I don't think handing them initiative here for 2 damage is worth it. Honestly, like, if you have a gun, wouldn't it have been better to claim you can gun the Enfys, get in for 7, bounce the Walker? And just, like, reset their entire tempo? Because then they have to choose between replaying the Walker and playing that No Glory. Admittedly, they could have a variety of other things to play, but... All right, we got like 80,000 cards in hand, but not a lot of time to play them. Less because of the damage on base and more just simply because that Walker is going to... If Loopy makes it to single digits, this game is like over. 1,000%. I don't know what that was in response to. I'm guessing there's not a gun. We did get a waylay for the bounce. That means that the Walker's not coming back down this turn. The gun with Enfys, yeah. Like, that would have been the ideal. I'm guessing there isn't one. Or if you have a surprise strike, same sort of thing. But given that there is a tech, like, at least the chance for surprise strike goes up dramatically, right? We haven't seen one hit the discard pile, so they're either in the deck, in hand, or in resource. Those are the 3 of the 4 options. Excuse me. So now this match is going to come down to how much of a time extension did they get. That looks like 3. The clock is on. Chewie. Honestly, I think the best Chewbacca art in this game is the set 1 leader. I legitimately think it's the best Chewbacca art. It's certainly my favorite art. All the other ones, he looks weird. Especially the weekly play promos and the regular version of the set 4 Chewie. He looks weird. I can't really articulate why, other than weird. Oh, God. That's horrifying. Is that the Battle of Hoth Chewbacca? What Chewbacca is that? Man, that's an ugly Chewie. He also looks like the bad guy in every, like, Roman movie where he's, like, putting a curse on their family. Like, curses! Or he looks like a... You know what he looks like? He looks like a bad guy from Scooby-Doo. He's like, I would have gotten away with it, too, if it weren't for you meddling kids. I'm telling you, the derpy set 1 leader art, best Chewbacca art. The rest of them look weird. All right, we gotta... Wait, we had the gun? Titanic. All right, look, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it looks like a thumb with a mouth. I've said he looks like a thumb in like all of them. It's just a question of how much of a thumb does he look like. So we had the gun. I don't know how long we've had the gun because obviously shuffling around resources, smuggles, draws, whatever. But there was a gun. Gun and Chewie puts our Kira player at 23. Emphasis has to bounce more stuff. Pressure is on, though. Going to 13, it looks like. So I know FFG made those things that go around the base for the life counters. What I think they need to do is actually make what I've seen on Etsy, where it's the base, but the base is the counter, and then, like, the amount of damage rotates under the total health of the base. So it lays flat, is the point. I think that would look good. It looks like an angry Furby on top of an animatronic body. In which art? That could be any of them. Which Chewie art are we talking about? The leader? I don't know. I think the leader looks hilarious to me. I think it's because how his mouth opens. It doesn't just look like somebody's wearing a paper bag. Like, you know when people wear paper bags at NFL games and then they just cut out like a round mouth? Like a round rectangle mouth? That one just looks different. Like, look at the one above it. The Sentinel one from set 1. It looks like somebody just hole punched a mouth. Today we learned the most important thing about the Star Wars Unlimited card game, and that is that there is no good Chewbacca art. I think we can all agree that the Battle for Hoth one is gotta be, if not the worst, it's tied for worst. That's just awful. Doing Chewie dirty. I thought the set 5 or set 4 art was bad. That is just terrible. It's like the 9th U-Wing he's played this game. I mean, it feels like it's all been one game. It was in the Sector promo. I think that's the one that's in play, which is okay, I guess. I think it's fine. I don't hate it. The Richmond Sector version. I don't know what that one looks like offhand. Blue leader. Ambushing, maybe. No, we're just flooding the board. So we're saying that if there is a Super Laser Blast, you got me. I think Loopy's asking whether we're going to ambush or not. Or they might be clarifying, like, does he need to pay or whatever? I'm not sure. Oh, I think he's asking, did you pay for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Yeah, it looks like he didn't pay for the XP, which is fine. What is happening? Oh, he's getting one more body because I think Titanic had mentally included the 2 extra payment from Blue Leader as part of the costs, which is not necessary in this case. Now, I don't know how many. He has 2 cards left in hand. I'm surprised he didn't trigger the R2. And I guess maybe it doesn't matter. I think it matters. Depending on what you have in hand. Maybe he just wants to keep the cards. This is a position where I don't envy Loopy, but they are likely in time. Did he just attack the Chewie? Isn't the 7th or 8th brother dead? Oh, he attacked base. Super laser blast. Okay. I thought I saw damage get put on Chewie. That's why. So this is going to be a draw? Yeah, Chewie doesn't die. Maybe he did attack Chewie and that's why he did it. To like put damage on it so that he could maybe get it later. Surprise strike, Chewie, gun, game. That would be 10 damage. GG. What a slog in game 3. Barely getting there. I think if they ran out of time and Titanic said, hey, I have the surprise strike, Loopy, being the gentleman that he is, probably would have given him the game anyway. But either way, GG. Very well played. On to the next round.